Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Lives, Falcons versus Bears, a Week 17 post-game show. I'm your host, Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin, joined by some wonderful co-hosts today. First of all, we've got Alan Strk at Alan Strk on the Twitters. Alan, rough game, but how we doing on this New Year's Eve?
So the day show up, coming here like an employee, wear my outfit. I want to watch good quarterback play. Dak Prescott, thank you last night. Did a really good job, but today, we've seen some bad quarterback play, but I will stand on this. Today was the worst quarterback performance from the Falcons quarterback this year. I know Ridder's has moments, but I think Heineke could have maybe 7 turnovers.
I think so.
It was atrocious defense. I think maybe had its worst game. If you want to look at total, because like the Titans game, there was like more blowout moments. To me, I think there was just continuous big plays, both on the ground and through the air. Like I just thought the Bears just completely gashed them all across the board, and I thought the Falcons got completely outcoached as well. So, I mean, there's no real positives from this. Pass protection did well, fine, but other than that, season can end sooner. But then again, thanks to the New Orleans Saints turning back the clock a week, next week somehow matters. So, yay.
Yay. Yeah. Guys, I know my camera is not working. While I work on that, want to welcome in, of course, our other co-host today. We have with us Jordan Watkins. He's that big 75 fella. Jordan, how you doing?
I know I got to talk so that way people actually see me, but if you could see the face before I started talking, it's just blank. Speaking of blank, you got something you need to do, buddy. I just leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're going to get into it, guys. I know we've all got a lot of takes. I'm still struggling to figure out why my camera doesn't like me, but that's okay. You guys can hear my takes, and I'll get it fixed as we go live here. But before we get too far, let me real quick bring you guys a word from today's sponsor. We have, of course, betonline.ag, and, BetOnline. I hope they don't ding me for not having my face on here. But, guys, we don't, us, we try to take a little bit of time off around the holidays. We like to take it easy here and there, but BetOnline doesn't take any time off, and neither do these football players. They have to keep going all year long, and that's exactly what they do at BetOnline, keeping you informed on all of those up-to-the-minute odds, news, lines, and info that you need for the NFL, college bowl season, and the NBA. BetOnline has got you on all those and more. They've got all the sports wagering information you need, along with all the sports information you need with both desktop and mobile access. So definitely check that out and head to that website today to get in on the action no matter what you bet on. And as we're going to see with my prize picks here in, a little bit, don't bet on the Falcons. That's my last warning. I've never listened to this warning, but you've been warned. You've been warned every week on this show. And I never feel stronger than I felt now, but of course I'll be back with more prize picks next week. But guys, remember to use our promo code when you sign up. It's Believe, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. Well, while I work on getting my camera fixed, because I'm sure you guys are loving my black. I know that Alan and everybody else can see me. The guests can see me, but my other nice camera is taking a big old dump right now, just like what we saw on the field. How about that segue?
Hey.
Alan, what do you got for me from this game? Because this was one of the hardest watches, I think, of the entire season.
Yeah, just start because I know Heineke's an easy target, and we'll get to him, but defense was very disappointing just from the beginning. They didn't have any adjustment when the Bears were going to move around DJ Moore. DJ Moore is not just going to be someone used on the outside. He is the focal point of their offense, I would say. Not even just a passing game. I think he's their biggest threat. And they just had no answer when he went to the slot. I think they just create good mismatches for him. And I was a little surprised Ryan Nielsen didn't try blitz more, maybe because given Fields is threat with his legs, maybe he wanted to play more contained, but it's just Falcons defensive line. They just got no finishers. Like I commend them for their efforts. I like Bud Dupree as a veteran. Epike is a solid piece, but it's just the times where they need to make plays, you just can't count on them. Like the third down, multiple times they should have had sacks, and you think like why are you continuously trying to go high on a quarterback that's so elusive? And like Bud Dupree had a clean lane, like unblocked, and he still goes high on Fields. Epike had a moment where I think Fields was spinning, like it was right in his arms, somehow misses. I thought Anyamaya had a bad game, and just at Ellison, Landman, just no impact whatsoever. It was just, the whole defensive line, other than a couple flashes from Calais Campbell, just very poor across the board, and AJ Terrell took his lumps as well. So defensively, I thought this was probably their worst game. And then, what can you say about Taylor Heineke? Just he hit more Bears hands than Falcons receivers, I would say. Like I would like to add up, if I did a tally of the amount of times Heineke threw a ball that was uncatchable to how many times Heineke threw it to a Bears defender. I think it was probably more than the amount of times he completed the pass. So yeah, there's no real positives. It's good. It's good to see Arthur Smith finally dialed up a screen to a running back out of the backfield.
Yes,
So
first time. Yeah,
I feel like all his screens this year have either been a bubble screen or a jailbreak screen to either Bijan or Cordell Patterson or, of course, John Smith. He actually screen out of the backfield and look how it went. But besides that, man, there's no positives here. This is as bleak as it gets, and season could end sooner. But I'm sure we still have a lot to get into.
Yeah, we do. It's brutal. This was a brutal loss. It was a brutal game to watch. It was just pathetic across the board. I mean, it sucks. The defense, they played a terrible game. I kind of thought they would play a bad game in this one just because Justin Fields is like the worst matchup for this defense. They can't get the quarterback to the ground. We know this. They've been getting better in recent weeks, but like against those really mobile quarterbacks, that's where they've had the most trouble. Like Josh Dobbs, like if they had played Jaron Hall, they would have destroyed the Vikings because Jaron Hall can't escape. But Josh Dobbs could just escape and make, crazy shit happen. And that's literally how the Vikings won that game because it was completely freestyle. That's the one thing this Falcons defense can't stop. Obviously, they're going to have to find a way to do that going forward because they're going to have to play athletic quarterbacks sometimes. But brutal game from that perspective, and they didn't defend the pass particularly well either. Now, I will say that Justin Fields threw some absolute dimes. I mean, like some of those plays, it's like, what do you do? I don't know other than get pressure on him better. I don't know what you do other in terms of coverage. So there's definitely that. But Jordan, speaking of the defense and the offense too, your initial thoughts on this disaster.
I mean, look, you said it best. It was just a disaster. And I mean, how many times are we going to look at this team? And again, I can go back even to last year too, but especially this year. How many times do we have to see a team that I won't even say look like world beaters? They didn't look like world beaters against the Colts. They looked like a capable team. And then the very next week, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. And it's just that from a standpoint for me of whatever facet of the game you want to look at, we could talk about it. Defensively, it's like you said, it's not even a matter of the fact that the defensive line and the pass rush, they don't get the quarterback down. It's when they don't get him down. Right. That was a third down play. You have a chance to change momentum, get things going, maybe get good field position because D. Alford actually was doing a good job of returning kicks when he had a chance to. But again, you have a free rusher, Bud Dupree, again, you don't get him down. David Onyemata is getting there too. He can't get him down. But again, to your point, it's how many times have we seen that against mobile quarterbacks? This is why we talked about on the preview show. Like I'm kind of nervous. I'm nervous about this for that one very reason. And I wanted to see what the pass rush plan was going to be like, right? And it was what I thought. The Falcons were more so just focused on, hey, let's still stay in our gaps. Don't go rush too far upfield if you're on the end to keep contained so we can't go through any B gaps or things like that to escape. But of course, if you're going to do that, you got to have tight coverage because those guys are going to be running around for a while. And we didn't have pressure, which again, a lot of that was by design, but we also didn't have good coverage either, which, give credit to Justin Fields. Like you said, Kevin, he made some throws like that. That was the thing for me where I want to consistently see that improvement from him. Hey, when it's that time, you're not really expanding plays. It's just stay in that pocket, let it go. He's been doing it. He's been getting a lot better in that. So I got to give him his credit. Offensively, I mean, look, I've been talking about this for a while, and now we're going to get to my favorite part. We're ready. Is everyone ready for the Taylor Heineke turnover tracker now?
I remember somebody was like, "Oh, he only threw one pick this year. He only threw one pick this year. So why are you guys getting on him?" It's like, because we know who Taylor Heineke is. Like we've seen this.
Yeah. So he protected the ball against the Colts. Let's not forget that. We're going to pretend the film doesn't exist.
So here's the fun time now. So he's played in, I believe, 38 career games. So you include today. He's thrown 28 interceptions and has 16 fumbles. Now, here's the thing. Now, I get it, right? With Desmond Ridder, turnovers, obviously, and when the turnovers have been such a huge part of why he's been starting, then benched, and all these things, and why we've lost some games. I totally get that. Here's the difference, though, and what's so frustrating with it. Taylor Heineke's been in the league for 6 years. This is Desmond Ritter's second year. Like, there's some things from Desmond Ritter I can, like, you're a young quarterback. You just gotta learn through it, right? You've been in the league for 6 years. There's certain plays you can't make. You can't do it. And so, I know people are gonna talk about, there were some receivers open. You're right, there were. Honestly, in terms of play design today, I wasn't as upset as I've been in previous games from Arthur Smith. But here's what I am upset about. You did this to yourself. You put him back in the game. You put him back as a starter because you started feeling some heat from upstairs, right? So that's the thing for me. Look, Younghoe Koo missed the 2 kicks. They even talked about it in the broadcast that people were struggling in that side of the field.
It was
blustering,
kick. Man. That was it was. Like, I mean, it's not easy, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going crazy about that. What I don't like though is if that's going to be the case, especially on that side of the field, when you had, I think it was a 3rd and 7 maybe,
or something like
that.
2nd and 10 where they ran the play with Ritter.
It was so it was like, I think it was that. Well, first off, there was that, and it's like, okay, what are we doing? We just turned into the Chris Peterson Boise State team where we're doing trick plays left and right. But also there was one situation, maybe it was either the first field goal or the second one, where I'm like, okay, this is not going to be the place. I think it was the second field goal. This is not the place now where you're just going to try to settle for a field goal. Be somewhat conservative on third down in your mind that you're going to go for 4th down just because of where you are in the field, and we didn't do that. So there's just certain things though with designing a game and calling a game and just understanding the situation where, again, it just shows to me a lot of times where Arthur Smith still lacks in it. So just no matter how you look at this game, I mean, like you said, Kevin, you called it a disaster. That's exactly right. But there's just all the ways you can look at it was bad.
Yeah, this was a really rough one to watch. And, there were so many individual plays that I had problems with. I mean, Taylor Heinicke played like one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen. I mean, like, most of his yardage came from a 75-yard screen touchdown. Like, that was literally the only play. And even that play, he barely got off. And that one was impressive, to be fair to him. That was good work there, getting that pass off with a guy in your face. But, like, most of the balls he threw were just not catchable. Like, it was like...
No, they were catchable.
What? Oh, they were catchable by somebody. Just not the guy you were throwing it to, unfortunately. But... that is one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen. And that's part of the reason I was like, what is the point of making the change to Heinicke? Like, I know everyone's like, oh, he's better than Ritter. It's like, I don't really think that he's shown that. And like, we know there's no future with Heinicke. We know there's no development with Heinicke. This is like a 5 or 6 year veteran at this point. So like, it screamed desperation, and that's exactly what it was. And it got you that Colts game. He was very lucky in that Colts game not to throw another pick, but they probably still would have won that game, and they dominated the Colts defensively. That helps a lot, but he's not good enough. Like, he's just, I don't understand why you're pulling your rookie quarterback off the field and then putting him back in at the end of the game only for him to then go and throw a pick as well. Like, this was just an absolute meltdown. Like this was like
$7 million a year. Like, that's not $7 million back. Like, I'm not even sure if he's a backup player. And I'll be the first to tell you, I was completely wrong on Heinicke. I thought Heinicke was one of their better backups, but he's not even serviceable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, we've seen him play like we know he's a risk taker.
Second half of the Titans game, he was very good. Besides that, like, the Vikings did. Come on.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, is it really that Heinicke now just sucks and that every quarterback this offense touches sucks, or is it that Arthur Smith sucks? That's the question I really want to ask. Like,
I mean, Mariota was decent for 4 or 5 games last year.
Yep.
Matt Ryan was good.
Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan could probably, like,
I don't want to put Matt Ryan in this though.
Don't you bring him into this?
Today's the day to respect Falcon greatness, as even though the Eagles are apparently atrocious. Julio Jones scored 2 touchdowns. That man. Today's the day to respect the Falcon legend. So we're not disrespecting Matt Ryan in his ice cream truck on Paramount. But I don't know what to make of Arthur Smith's offensive play, because like, you look at like that 3rd down was such a mess when Drake Glenn and Kyle Pitts were asking Heinicke, what is the play? And Heinicke's just rushing. And then he has Van Jefferson on a go route. 2nd week in a row, by the way, because he missed Van Jefferson on I think it was a stop and go last week where he could have hit him for a touchdown. Literally the same exact play, and he overthrows Jefferson again. Poor Van Jefferson. He's got a lot of heat on his pockets. But he probably should have 2 touchdowns his last 2 weeks with competent quarterback play.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Matthew Stafford to this. But it's just, about?
Van Jefferson's made his fair share of mistakes, but that was definitely not on him. I mean, let's be real there. But That's what I'm saying. It's like everyone in this offense is just so fucking sloppy. Like everyone is making mistakes. Like all the quarterbacks look really sloppy. Like, you know, it's
Only
just
play we could say is Kadero Hodge had a horrific drop. Why? I tried to catch with his body. Just extend your hands. And Kadero Hodge has had a decent year.
yeah.
That's the one time I kind of felt feel bad for Heineke because that was actually a pretty pinpoint pass. But
Yeah. But
besides that, it's like, oh, man.
Like I just don't like. I mean, at this point, it's like I don't know. Like I don't know what the point of this is, but yeah, we should probably finish recapping the game before we get into more of the meta conversation. And you know, guys, we're gonna try not to drag this out super duper long, just because I know it's New Year's Eve and everybody's got stuff to do. But let me get to a couple donations and then we'll keep it rolling here. I know we had some folks like early, like before we came on, that I wanted to get. We had Noah Coker with the $2. What's up, Noah? First donation. Appreciate that, man. Says, there's no way Arthur Smith keeps his job, right? I mean, Arthur Blank is obsessed with this man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he ran out to make another basically statement like, oh, well, now he's safe again. Like, so clearly he wants to keep him. Like, he's looking for any excuse to keep him. Now, this game, obviously, like, this is just a big slap in the face. It's like, wow, like, this changes things again, because you can't have games like this. Like, again, we see this every year. Like, clutch games, you need a win, you need to stay alive, and they just fuck it up, man. They just, like, blow the game. It's ugly. It's bad. They lost to the fucking They lost to the Cardinals. They lost to the Panthers. I mean, the Eagles just lost to the Cardinals, so maybe that's not as bad as it maybe appeared at the time. But
oh no, the Eagles are a bad team right now.
Maybe the Eagles are just a bad team.
They're a bad team right now.
Yeah. Fair enough. So no excuses for the Cardinals game, but the Panthers game
might be playing in 2 weeks. Strangely enough,
if I turn on Madden, maybe. I'll tell you what, though. Here's the main thing for me when I'm looking at this whole Arthur Smith situation, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before. Them corporate partnership checks must be looking pretty good. Like I mean, I'm just saying, it's one of these things. Again, as we've all said, there's no reason, even with quarterback plays up and down as it has been, with the schedule is the way it is, with the injuries in certain positions for that bad schedule, the way that's all shaped out too. There's no reason why we might be looking at this team having the exact same record that they did last year. And no matter how you want to look at it, like I said, whether it's personnel decisions, just preparation overall, actual game call, like game play calling, all these things, what they fall under? The head coach. Like, I just don't know how else to say it. So I got to start looking at things outside of football. That's what I'm saying. That corporate check, that must be looking pretty good with those family ties, man.
The endorsements are coming.
More bizarre though, like Arthur Smith was very decisive when it came to handling Mike Smith. Mike Smith had 2 down years, and he was like, all right, this is done. No more. Obviously with Dan Quinn, there was major loyalty there given the success.
Yeah.
I just feel like on a year-to-year basis, you want to see progress. And to me, the Falcons have only made progress on one side of the ball. You can't tell me a single thing offensively where you've seen progress. Like, it's hard to dissect and maybe you could find a metric, but like even look at the running game, like it had maybe 4 games this year where they took over. Last year there was about 8 to 9 games where that Falcons running game was just wrecking teams. Mm-hmm. This year it's been maybe Packers, Saints, obviously Colts last week, but it's just nothing to, when you look at Arthur Smith, like what can you really attest to that's improved this year? Like everything's defensively. And so just like
the amount of variables.
There we go.
No, it's the variables. It's the variables once again. No, I mean, I just don't see anything to hang your hat on, and that's what we talked about before last week's game, and that's why I also came on here and was like, look, I'm not sold. Like it was nice, it was fun, but like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me like 7 times this season, shame on me. Like I'm not falling for the cheese, right? That's exactly what last week was. Another cheese game where it was just like, this is not meaningful. This is not carrying over. This is not consistency. This is just a flash in the pan. And we're back to what we were for most of the season, which is a very, very mediocre team that has some significant weaknesses on defense. It's like, okay, you understand it, but they mostly, handle their business. But and when you turn the ball over this much too, again, it's like you're just screwing your defense over even more. And like they had their worst game of the season today, that's for sure. But I don't see anything you hang your hat on and say like, well, this is why we're going to bring him back.
And you
Like,
have to
there's
look at the
nothing.
personnel decision as well. Like you have Matt Collins playing special teams. I don't really see him as a receiver. Like, okay, that was a bad signing. But then you have like Daryl Hodge and Van Jefferson seeing snaps. Like Arthur Smith has to come to terms with unique, capable pass catchers. Like, we talk all the time. Like this team has no drop back passing game. And that was the issue last year, but we kind of got it because, all right, obviously they're cap strong. Like,
Yeah.
couldn't put enough investment in that position. But now it's just like you had the offseason. Look, tremendous free agent additions across the board, but like defensively. But it's just, I think, not valuing wide receiver has come to cost them. And they just have no drop back passing game. Where the best plays came off play action and screen for the most part today. So just like they can't play from behind. And that's another thing. It's like if you can't play from behind in this league, you're not going to be a winning team. So it's just
No. I mean, I just, and like there's nothing about Arthur Smith's like approach, like schematically, that means that it can't work, but it does have its weaknesses, right? Like if you're going to be a run heavy multiple tight end sort of offense, you're always going to be a front running team for the most part. Like you're going to be a team that if you get a lead, you're going to be able to grind it out, and you can really dominate teams that way, and you could win a lot of games. We've seen teams very successful with that style of football throughout the years, teams that have good defense, and the defense took the step forward that was needed, I think, for that approach to really work. But it's like you've lost the lead. Like you've lost the lead. Like you no longer run the ball well. Your passing game is atrocious. All the quarterbacks you brought in aren't capable, which is questionable to me. You don't emphasize any receiver additions whatsoever. I still can't believe they didn't draft a receiver. Like they didn't draft a receiver. Like it was like that was like one of their top 3 needs, and they were like, "No, we're good. We'll take Matt Collins, and we'll trade for Van Jefferson in the middle of the season, and it'll all be fine." It's like.
Yeah, and like, look, everyone loves him. He's the people's champ. But like, Cordell Patterson's a running back at this point. He's not a receiver. Unless you're using on a screen, like, stop running Cordell Patterson on vertical routes. Like, the fact that he's one of the receivers when they run empty set, it's just him and John Smith. They're not going to stretch defenses. And then you have Bijan, Kyle Pitts. Like, I don't like what team runs 5 wide receiver set but only has 1 true wide receiver on the field.
Yeah, it's like. It's like I get like you're trying to be different, but like there's a reason everyone emphasizes receiver in the NFL, and it's because speed kills. And like, I've looked into a lot of stuff, and I was doing it before this season too, but there's been a lot of, advanced analytics. And I know, Jordan, you in particular, you want to make sure there's like something behind the analytics. It's not, you can't just throw stats out and make it meaningful. But whether or not size matters for receivers and how important is size, like physical size, like height and weight, for receivers in particular, and what's the correlation with receiver success and successful careers and 1,000-yard seasons and all that stuff. And it was really interesting to me that height and weight in particular, at past a certain extent, like if you're below a certain minimum threshold, like you're really unlikely to succeed. I mean, we all know that. But getting into that elite size and height, there's not really any correlation with success with size. Where the correlation is with athleticism. That is where, speed and agility, that is where the correlation is strong. But the size is not correlated. And we see all these really successful, large college wide receivers. And I don't know if it's just the nature of that game makes it so those guys have easier success. But in the NFL, speed is king. And it's becoming, with the rule changes the way they are, where you just want it, like you could just try to get a pass interference on 3rd and long, to try to get a call. Like, having that speed threat is big for that. And Arthur Smith has basically decided that speed is not king. Like, he doesn't really care about it. Like, he got Scotty Miller and Van Jefferson, but, he didn't get a quarterback that was capable of hitting deep shots. So clearly the speed is not important to him. He doesn't use Kyle Pitts in that way either. He barely uses Bijan Robinson in that way. So
receivers that play with Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford last.
Yeah. So, I think it's pretty clear that this scheme has failed. It doesn't work. And is he capable of adjusting it? Do we even want to see him try to adjust it? Like, because he's tried to adjust it all year, and it hasn't changed at all. In fact, I would argue it's gotten worse as the year's gone on. So,
It's evolved.
I guess it's evolved. It has evolved, not in the way you wanted it, unfortunately. But to me, it's just like I just don't see anything that makes me say, like, I'm confident in this guy coming back, that this can be fixed. Like, Because if it's like, oh, well, we'll just let him be the CEO and we'll bring in a new offensive coach. Why should we trust him to be the CEO? Like, are we really believing?
He's going to pick the next quarterback too. You're going to trust him to.
Yeah, you're gonna trust this guy who flubbed quarterback for 3 straight seasons to pick another quarterback? Like, I wouldn't. I mean, like, and I hate it because I like the man. I actually think he gets a bad rap in the fan base that people think he's like a dick or something. I don't think that. I respect him, but it's like I think it hasn't worked, and he hasn't been able to adjust. And maybe that's due to problems with the personnel, especially quarterback. But it's like, these were the quarterbacks you chose for this year 3 of a 3-year plan. You didn't really make an effort to get anyone else or make an upgrade there, for right or wrong, depending on who you could get. But like, this is what it is. It's year 3. We're going to probably be 7-10 again, probably picking 8 again.
Again and again.
Like, I don't. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say here's a perfect thing. Again, we're talking about personnel usage and acquisitions and whatnot, right? In terms of like where this all comes from. First off, I want to start it off as a positive, but also it's going to be like one of the frustrating parts for me. Shout out Tyler Algier. And again, y'all know I've said this from the get-go. Tyler Algier is an RB1 in this league. Like, he's capable of doing that. And we've seen he has enough long speed to make plays happen, right? Like, he was definitely winding down there at the end, but yeah, what, 31 yard, it was enough.
You got respect the dime too.
I know, right? Exactly. So he had 31-yard touchdown run last week, 75, I think, touchdown reception this week.
Yep.
And look, I'm not saying this because I think Bijan Robinson is bad. Like, that's not it at all. But what's frustrating is you had a guy there already that you could be as your RB1, and we could have used that pick to do something else to help this team out, right? We talked all these things, whether, you do get another receiver in the top 10, which, okay. But also, like, maybe you do something, you trade back where you get an edge rusher, something along those lines. But we just doubled down at a position we didn't need to do it. And I think that when Tyler has gotten his fair share of chances to show how good he is, he's shown it. And it only just furthers the point more and more, right? Like, y'all even talked about it. Where are for example, like, where's that screen to Bijan, right? That Tyler got. Where's those for him, like, even just more throughout the year, especially if you have struggling quarterbacks, whether it's a 6-year vet or this guy in his second year, where are those easy throws in place for them to make? Because I know everyone's going to say, well, they are throwing screens. A lot of the screens they throw are outside the numbers.
Yeah.
You don't technically, like, it's actually bad football more times than not to throw screens outside of the numbers. You're just asking for bad things to happen. So, again, it's just like, where are some of those designs and some of these schemes for the people that you are using, or that you do have, where, again, like I said, this is one of those things, again, that's so frustrating when I do look at that dichotomy that goes on between Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. Both great players, but, it's, like I said, just another thought process with all of this.
Yeah. And they both haven't been utilized enough on the field together. I feel like we heard that talk all off season.
Yeah.
The positionless football, and like, you've seen flashes of both of them be on the field at the same time, but more times than not, it's been underwhelming. Like, who could forget that 3rd and 3 against the Panthers, where Algier was the lead fullback and he gets completely blown up by Frankie Louvu, and Bijan gets dropped for a 1-yard loss. Like, it's just, you haven't seen moments where, like, okay, Bijan's maybe running jet motion and at least Algier getting like a 10-yard gain or something. Like, I don't know. We just haven't seen enough of them together where it creates, schematically a big play, or at least a productive play.
No,
hey, y'all are sorry. I was gonna say, y'all are 100% right in the chat. That just slipped my mind because I remember being so mad at it at the moment. I tried to forget it. It should have been Jalen Carter right there. It really should have been. I mean, I got to go back to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I forget that? Because I was one of the main ones mad at it.
Yeah. No, I mean, considering how they've used Bijan, I think it's pretty clear that was a mistake. Not because of any problem with Bijan, but because they're not using him like a top 10 pick. Like, sure, the Lions started out giving Jahmyr Gibbs like a touch load, like, that was lower. But guess what? Like, now Jahmyr Gibbs is their RB1 and he's dominating touches most weeks, and that's with David Montgomery being a very good running back. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is getting the and also the Lions are obviously running more because they're actually a good team, unlike the Falcons. So, they're actually having leads and that sort of thing. But
yeah, I kind of mentioned with I know we're going to talk about coaches event. Oh, we should. I don't know if we are, but like you just watch the Lions of Ben Johnson, Sam Laporte, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. Like you look at the running back tight end, like those two of how they're utilized with Ben Johnson. You look how the Falcons are utilizing Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. Is just like, could you just imagine Ben Johnson in Atlanta? Like I don't know how many games they're going to win, but I think we can guarantee that Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts will be utilized far greater. And you get at least a good return on investment of those two picks.
The fantasy people would be happy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I just wanted to mention that. I know, Kevin, you're going. I love everything that the Lions are doing, and it's just Ben Johnson.
Yeah,
it would be great to be here.
It would be.
Yeah.
It just frustrates the hell out of me they've made such an investment in Kyle Pitts and Bijan and Drake London, and like they just don't. Like they've set up the entire board, but like they forgot the dice or something. Like they can't actually use any of these players because quarterback has been fumbled so badly that these guys are basically complete wastes. Like Drake London, four catches. I mean, that's nice, sure. Kyle Pitts, 1 catch. Bijan Robinson, 3 targets. This is the worst. I mean, you could see it. Tyler Algier had a 75-yard screen because the Bears are the worst team in the NFL at defending the running back pass. Falcons threw like 3, but I don't even know how many targets he got. I think it was like 5. But like that should have been your go-to play given the Bears defense, and they just wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. Like
where was Cordell Patterson? You also could have used him on. Yeah, so.
It's just like anybody with half a brain can look up these statistics. It took me like 5 minutes. That's how I made my prize picks. I talked about it, and like. If I can look this up in 5 minutes, why is this coaching staff not looking this shit up? Like, why the hell am I the one doing this research for these obvious things that everyone in the NFL knows at this point that they've had success with, and you just won't do it? Like, do you think you're that much fucking smarter than everybody in the room? That it's like, actually, no, we're not going to do the thing that's worked for everyone else. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to play our game. Your game sucks. Your game sucks ass. Like, you need to do something
Jordan knows why. Why do you think that case is?
I don't know. There's this word I'm thinking of. It starts with a V. And look, Alan, I understand it. I understand you have to ask the question, but there's just a lot of variables that go into it. That.
Like we're not doing any of these things. Like Cordell Patterson's like complete bit player. They made this whole stink about him being a joker. All these creative formations, all this fun stuff. Bijan and Algier together, like that's barely been a thing at all. Like, and maybe it's like, well, the quarterback is so bad we can't do any of the fun stuff we wanted because we have to dumb down the offense. It's like you picked these quarterbacks too, so don't come crying to me that your quarterback sucks. This is the quarterback you wanted. You picked him. You rolled him out there with no competition. Like, I mean,
and the pass protection was so good. Like other than McGarry on one play against Sweat, like they were kept clean today. You actually could do stuff, but of course, the quarterback issues. But once again, this has to fall on the coaching staff, and it's just where do you even go from here? Like,
I think the thing too that just makes it all that much worse is look around what's going on in the NFL. Like, if we're talking about quarterbacks and bad quarterbacking and whatnot, damn near everybody's got a backup quarterback in the game right now, or a third string guy, right? I mean, again,
hello Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, hello Cleveland Browns. I mean, we had people wearing astronaut shirts for weeks because of what Josh Dobbs was doing before he got benched. So again, it's just a thing for me of even when you do a comparison of what else is going on outside of the building, just what's going on in the league, even if it's not a lot of success, you are seeing other people have success with average at best, sometimes maybe a little bit below average quarterback play. And some of these guys, again, they're just getting into the building. These are guys that you've had here the whole time, and it still looks this way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Like it's all been said by us, by others. It's like there's, I don't see any future here. Like, how many times have teams brought back the guy that had a down year, giving him another chance? How many times has that worked out, or how many times has that guy been fired within the first 8 games of the season? I would say it's like
look what happened 3 years ago in Atlanta.
I mean, it's not just in Atlanta. Like, I would say 75%, 80% of the time you bring someone back for that last ride or that extra year because you want to give them a chance, they're fired midseason. Like, so don't waste the time. Like, I know Arthur Blank doesn't want to start over. And maybe you don't have to. Like, I think a smart coach would be like, what they've built here in Atlanta on defense and this defensive coaching staff, these guys are good. If I'm a first-time head coach, why do I want to invite the chaos of creating an entirely new defensive staff when I've got one right here? Like, I don't think that's a negative. I know Corey, shout out to Corey Woodruff, is worried that might like dissuade some coaches from coming here because they wouldn't be able to pick their own defensive staff. But I would think that would be a bonus. It's like, oh, I don't have to go out and find a whole bunch of defensive staff. Like, because I'm an offensive coach and I probably mostly worked with offensive coaches in my career. I think that's a bonus. Like, you're like, oh, we'll just leave the defense intact. I just have to come in and take care of my business. And then, like, I mean, I think that's a good thing. I mean, if they can make it work, it's obviously not a guarantee, but.
Yeah. I wonder what Shane Steichen's thought process was when he did it, because as Mike Rothstein mentioned last week, they kept Gus Bradley, and it's kind of worked out for the Colts. So I wonder, because some of these coordinators are such control freaks, or that become head coaches, they just want entirely new coaching staff. But Shane Steichen at least worked around it. But I don't know, that's where the interview process comes in. Who you're going to hire, and look, we can't also assume that it's going to be an offensive-minded coach like McDonald. Look what he's doing with that Ravens defense. As much as we like Ryan Nielsen, Mike McDonald's going to be a hot candidate, and who says why shouldn't he be considered based on what he's done?
Right.
Especially with the Niners. So these are things to consider. But then again, who knows if these options are even be considered? Because I don't know, because obviously I want to get to listener questions before we finish. But if they get trounced by New Orleans next week, do you think that's going to add more fuel to the fire, or is Arthur Blank just going to be like, whatever, we're still going to stick with our guns? Because I think a big loss to the Saints could raise some stakes.
I mean, I sure hope so. Like, if he's already made up his mind, like, before this game even happened, then nothing will change his mind, obviously. But, like, if he'd already made up this mind after the Colts game, he's a fool. Because, like, was he really that sold by the Colts game? I can't possibly believe that. As much as fans are getting on Arthur Blank, like, I really don't think he's that stupid to be like, oh, well, they won this good game against the Colts, so clearly everything's fine and everything's fixed. Like, I just don't believe he's made up his mind yet. I think Arthur Blank is actually smart. He's overly patient, but, like, he's not stupid. Like, I think Arthur Smith needs to win next week to save his job, or he's out. That's my personal opinion. I don't have any insider information on this, but, like, I think Arthur Smith, if he had won this game, or even didn't get embarrassed in this game, which, let's make no mistake, this was fucking embarrassing. Like, this was awful football. I think it would have been fine. Like, if they just don't get embarrassed this week, he's probably fine. It's probably all set. They got embarrassed. It was bad. These games change things. Just like the Panthers games, the Panthers game set the Heat to 500 on Arthur Smith's, hot butt rankings or whatever. This is another game that's like, okay, turn the heat up again, because you can't have games like this. These are the types of games that get people fired. And if the Falcons had lost that Colts game and then lost this game like this, I think he would be fired on Monday for this. But as it stands now, I still think he can save his job with a win over the Saints, because you could theoretically make the playoffs next week, right? I mean, it's stupid.
Unfortunately.
It's stupid, but, like, and it's not going to happen, because as bad as the Bucs were this week, they're just not. I think the Panthers are going to be on their backup quarterback at this point. So, like,
Bryce got injured?
I think so. We'll see. I thought somebody had said in the chat that maybe he did get roughed up a little bit, but
well, that's just another Sunday for whoever quarterback is behind that offensive line.
Yeah. That's just a daily trial for you over
good
there.
Old Andy Dalton.
Yeah, good old the Red Rifle's going to come in there and save the Falcons season, but I don't see how you can accept this, especially if we go 7-10 again. Like, you can't allow that. It's like everything lined up for you. You have a better roster. You have an easier schedule. You have an easy ass division. Go just the bare minimum. Just improve. And if he doesn't win this next game, he hasn't improved. He's made this team worse. You can't survive in the NFL doing that. And this would be the first, if he isn't fired and they do not make the playoffs, this would be the first time under Arthur Blank that a Falcons coach has made it more than 3 seasons without making the playoffs. And why would you make that coach Arthur Smith? Like, why would he be worth that? And nothing against Arthur Smith personally. Like I said, I like the guy. I was in, previously, but I'm out now. Like, I've seen enough. I don't think there's any future with this scheme. I don't trust him to pick a quarterback, and maybe that extends to Fontenot too. I don't know. I don't know what the percentage of blame is there, right? I think it's impossible to really know. But at any rate, I know the scheme doesn't work, so that's the first place I would go to make changes. And I know Fontenot can sign some free agents, and I know a lot of the guys he's brought in don't suck, but for whatever reason they look bad in this offense. So I guess I think I know where to point the finger. Maybe Arthur Blank doesn't yet, but I think I know.
Time for listener questions.
Oh, let me get this prize picks out of the way, and then we will go into the cavalcade of listener questions, which we really appreciate, guys. Thank you, everyone, for donating. Donations right now are going to that Senior Bowl fund, which I still haven't made the graphic for. I apologize. But thank you, guys, so much for that. Really appreciate that, to get you those. Because we're going to need those draft takes even more this year, because we're probably going to be trading up for a quarterback. So fingers crossed Jaden Daniels actually shows up to the Senior Bowl, by the way. I think he's rumored to have accepted, but we're still getting word on if he's going to actually show up, because he won the Heisman, and now it's like, oh, maybe I don't need to go anymore. So that, I don't know. But real quick, guys, let me bring you a quick word from today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Let me pull this up real quick. All right, here we go. Guys, you know it. Prize Picks. Yeah, Arthur Smith hosed me again, but I got hosed all around. The one thing the Falcons did do today was hold Justin Fields under 54.5 rushing yards. So thanks, Falcons, for that. That was the one thing that you couldn't do that you did do. Kind of surprised, actually, given how successful Justin Fields was at doing everything else, but whatever. We also had Younghoe Koo miss 2 field goals, so we didn't get the more than 1.5 field goals made. I knew it was going to be tougher because of the weather, but I still thought he could hit 2, but I didn't expect the Falcons offense to be this bad. Figured he'd get more shots and also have some easier ones, but instead, Falcons offense, yada, yada. And also, of course, Bijan over 22.5 or more than 22.5 receiving yards. I mean, look, the Bears are the worst team in the NFL at stopping the running back pass, and Tyler Algier got a big one. That's great. Good for Tyler. But the Falcons only threw, I think, 3 passes to Bijan other than that, which, choosing not to attack your opponent's biggest defensive weakness, that's a bold choice, Arthur Smith. But, I guess you're the one that's getting paid the big bucks here. But guys, even though I failed at Prize Picks, you don't have to. These bets are optional. You can make your own. You can do it right now. You can do whatever you want. Prize Picks is a skill-based daily fantasy game. You go on there, you pick 2 to 6 players, decide if they will go more or less than their Prize Picks projection, and the more you pick, the more you can win, all the way up to 25 times your money on any entry. And like I said, guys, at Prize Picks, you're not competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections. Make sure to check their promotion schedule. They've got flex plays on Friday. They've got some special player lines on Tuesday. They've got all kinds of stuff coming out over the holidays. So keep your eyes open. And it's not just the NFL. So even when that's over, Prize Picks offers projection on any sport that you watch: NBA, MLB, college football, Bulls, MLB, NHL, PGA, you name it. Esports, it's on there. The best part, guys, Prize Picks entries can be made in 60 seconds or less, and they offer fast withdrawals. It's that easy. All first-time users that deposit and use our promo code DBB, like it says in the graphic here, you will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. So that means if you throw in 100, Prize Picks will give you 100. If you throw in 50, Prize Picks will give you 50. Just make sure to use our promo code DBB when you sign up, so they know we sent you. And guys, since Prize Picks is daily fantasy, it's available in 31 states. DC, most of Canada. Notably, it's available in Georgia, so that's a big one. I know most of our viewers are from Georgia, obviously. So again, guys, thanks so much to Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in with us here. All right, let's keep it rolling with some listener questions. I apologize if I missed any of the super chats. There were some that came through before the show started, and I'm having trouble finding them. So if I do find them, I will. If I can figure out a way to pull them up, I will get them. I know they got displayed and pulled up and all that, so you get something for it. But I do try to make a point of reading everything that comes in. So I apologize if I do miss you. I know we'll start with George Costanza here with the $2. He says the Bears were projected to have 3 wins. Eberflus has taken lemons and made lemonade. Arthur Smith has taken lemons and made piss water. It might look the same, but I guarantee you it's not. I would like him gone, not tomorrow, not after breakfast, now. Yeah, George, I feel like I'm kind of there with you on that one. He continues with another donation. Thanks, George. After another performance like this next week, and we could have a season in which we don't have a QB throw for 3,000 yards, no skill player more than 10 touchdowns, or a 1,000-yard receiver or rusher. Ladies and gentlemen, the offensive genius of Arthur Smith. I didn't realize that would be pretty bad. Yeah.
I need a shot after hearing that. Oh my gosh.
It's almost New Year's. I think I know what I'm doing after the show.
I'm not waiting until midnight after hearing that.
I can't make
can you say it one more time?
Say it one more time.
Make it a double.
Hold on.
So I can make it a double.
5:45.
Make it a double though. Yeah, make it a double.
It's 2:45 over here. Don't forget that.
Oh man, you got a ways to go. You got to pace yourself. But yeah.
Not after watching that game.
No, I can't. I got to just go straight to hard liquor. Usually I wait until 10 to start the shots, but we might to switch to hard liquor right now. Yeah, thanks, George. Appreciate that. We got PV with the $5. What's up? He says, situation, we need 2 touchdowns in 4 minutes to tie the game. First play on offense for Arthur Smith. Yes, perfect time for a screen. I mean, to be fair, that was the only scoring play they had all game, so for the most part. So other than that Taylor Heineke run, which actually was a really good run, to Heineke's credit. That was a nice run. But yeah, I mean, can't argue with those numbers. We got George Sands with another 2. He says, we need to start fresh with a new quarterback and a new coach. This is an ideal situation for anyone to come into. Elite weapons everywhere, and you get to pick the quarterback of your future. Ben Johnson or Eric Bieniemy would be a fool to pass this up. I mean, I do agree. I mean, that's a good one to discuss here because, I do think that the Falcons' job is very attractive, and that's part of the reason why I think that they should make the change now, because they're going to have a top 10 pick, almost certainly. They've got the core around the quarterback all set up. Arthur Smith did a great job of setting things up for the next guy. I mean, kudos to him. But so you're probably not going to get any more attractive than you are right now. You've got cap space. It looks like you've got a defense, even if it's not as good as the raw numbers appear. Maybe this is just the 15th best defense. This is still the second best defense the Falcons have had in 10 years. So
absolutely.
So that's fine. You can win with the 15th best defense. That is not going to hold. I mean, look at the Eagles. They've won 11 games with the 30th ranked defense. So,
Yeah. And biggest thing of all this, you're in the NFC South. It's the lamp opportunity. I mean,
there you go. And again, yeah, exactly right. The NFC South, the Saints are going to get worse, not better. The Bucks, they're just the Bucks. That team, you just saw it this week. They just got their asses kicked by the Saints, completely blown off at home. They're just not a great team. They're a very hot and cold team. They're very beatable. And then the Panthers is just, that team is a disaster. If you want to see what bad ownership looks like, look at the Panthers. So,
it's the land of opportunity, and the Falcons have real assets here, and they have leaders as well. So
yeah, they do. So, we'll see. But I agree. I do think this is a good opportunity for a coach to come into. We got Corey with the $2. He said, thanks, Corey, by the way. He says, the Falcons' entire franchise existence was summed up in the D. Alford kick 6 return.
Wow.
So close. So close, and then trip over yourself embarrassingly. Yeah, I tried to forget that one, to be honest, but yeah.
Man, I was thinking Allen Rossum. Oh, my God, he might do this.
Yep. Oh, man. That was brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right. We got Corey Carter, another Corey. I was like, wait, is this the same guy? Okay, no, this is Corey Carter, separate. Thank you, Corey. Corey Carter as well. He says, who starts next week, Ritter or Woodside? Sell the team blank. Well, probably not getting that last one, but yeah, I mean, I imagine it's going to be Ritter. I know everyone wants to see Logan Woodside, and I have seen a lot of Logan Woodside, Toledo legend. He was there while I was briefly at University of Toledo with my wife because she taught there. I actually saw him play live several times. I like Logan Woodside, but he is a third string quarterback. It's not gonna look any better. I mean, maybe it can't look any worse than what we saw today. So I guess I shouldn't say that, but
You know what's interesting though? And they play in a couple hours. Kevin O'Connell, who's done a fantastic job, he's made the decision to start Jaron Hall now, because of just atrocious quarterback play between Dobbs and Mullins. What's holding Arthur Smith back? He's seen atrocious quarterback play for all season. Why not just throw against the wall? Could you imagine if Logan Woodside outplayed Derek Carr and beat the Saints?
Oh my God. That would be hilarious.
Yeah. But I'm just making that example. But then again, I've not seen much of Logan Woodside. He might just not be NFL ready at all, similar to Jaron Hall.
Yeah. I mean, it sort of doesn't matter to me at this point. I mean, it's I'd play Ritter just because we might as well just get him more experience since he's going to be our backup more than likely going forward. But man, Tough
First career start against the Saints. Last career start against the Saints.
There you go. It's karma. It's karma. We got Corey Carter with the $2 again. He says, if Brock Bowers was available, I would draft him and trade Pitts for whatever we can get for him. I guess, like, I mean, no, they can't draft Bowers because they need a quarterback. But I get what you're saying. Like, but the problem is, like, Pitts' value is the lowest it's ever been because they've misused him. He's clearly been coming back from an injury. And I know you're calling out Pitts' effort as well, like thinking that he's not giving good effort. I think this whole offense looks terrible, and I just don't know who to blame. Maybe it is Pitts to some extent. I think everybody has a part to play. Obviously, like everyone could do better, but like I don't think the coaching is doing anyone any favors. I think everyone's being kind of drugged down by this malaise that's over the whole offense. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, I know Corey. He's saying that. I felt the effort today was lacking overall. It didn't seem like Ritter was interested in being put back out there in that situation. I mean, I think Ritter was definitely interested in being put back out there. I think he looked excited. In fact, I think he looked a little too excited through that pick.
He got hit.
Yeah, he did get hit.
Blown up.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it was obviously bad, but, I do think Ritter wanted to play, like, desperately. Like, I think Ritter's looking for any opportunity to get back in there. I don't think this was a game that was a lack of effort, honestly. I think this was just you just got your ass kicked and completely outcoached and your pants pulled down. And it's just, again, that's coaching. Like the players don't make the game plan. The players don't set up the team to fail. The players don't make sure that everyone is doing everything. They only take care of themselves. And like, has everyone done a great job? No, not necessarily. But again, I just keep coming back to like, if it's everyone, you know who it is. Like if everyone's failing, if everyone's underperforming, you know who it is. And it ain't the players. It ain't everyone on the team all of a sudden became bad. That's not how this works. These are all great. These are all good to great football players. NFL players probably like below average to above average for the most part. Players, some great ones are on here for sure, but you just got to find a way to get out of this funk. And I don't think you can do it with the current coaching staff at the helm, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, and Corey also touches on that. Bringing Smith back and stripping him of play calling duties just screams lame duck and worsens the situation. I agree. Like, what kind of self-respecting OC is going to come in here to play under a guy that we know has been kind of domineering with his offense and is probably getting fired if things don't immediately click? Like, I was surprised. Like, I think in Tampa Bay, Canale is like, I was like, I don't know if I would do that. I don't know if I would take that job if I was him because he's playing under a lame duck head coach potentially. And like, if they don't hit, they're going to fire Bowles and Canales is going to get kicked out and he's going to get the stink on him of like, oh, your offense didn't work. Now, Canales bet on himself and won. So that there's always a chance you can luck out there and succeed. But that's a tough situation to come into. And I wouldn't blame people for not wanting to step into that potential disaster.
Is it you say his name?
I thought that's how you said
it. Dave Canals.
Is it really?
Yeah, I never heard it say Canale in my life. I was really? Like, who's he talking about?
Maybe I'm thinking of like food, like dessert, like cannoli or something.
Have you heard? Was it Canals or Canale? I've heard Dave Canals.
That's what I've heard too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I like your guys' version. I must be thinking of that New Year's dessert I got in the other room. I'm thinking of cannoli or something.
Totally understandable. Yeah, because when you first saying his name, I was like, who's he oh my god, Top Bowls, okay.
Oh, it's that guy. I was like, oh, who? Yeah. Well, at any rate,
provide Gino and he's Don Baker potential long-term deal.
Yeah.
Oh, kudos to him.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to him. He's doing a hell of a job over there. So he definitely bet on himself and won. But we got Chris24M with the $2. He says another 7-10 season because we're going to lose to the Saints. Yeah, I mean, it certainly looks that way, Chris. It certainly does. We got Corey with the $2 saying, are the Falcons the best team in Georgia? I can't wait to see what hidden jewels we draft out of East Carolina, since apparently there's no difference between them and UGA. No reason to draft players from a winning culture. Don't draft the helmet. Well, that's not what I said. I said draft the player, not the helmet, actually, is what I said. I don't know if you're referencing what I was saying, but I don't think the Falcons have any problem with UGA players. I also don't think you like decide to draft players because they're from a certain school. Like, I don't think anyone operates that way. So I understand what you're saying, Corey, which is like, obviously UGA players have had a good track record. They produce a lot of talent, but like they clearly didn't want to draft Jalen Carter because of his potential character issues. not because he went to UGA. And I think the fact that he went to UGA actually did have something to do with it, and that they probably felt like his situation was maybe a little bit more dicey because of the proximity to his college and the stuff that he was dealing with. So whether that's fair or not, whether that's any truth to it, we can't weigh in on that. But that was the decision they made, and clearly it seems like they haven't used Bijan the way they should to take him that high. So I mean, I think you could definitely argue that that they probably would have benefited more from someone like that, considering that Algier has been good and they don't really seem to use Bijan like the premier running back that they should. So we got AJ Evans with the $2. What's up, AJ? He says, third straight 7-10 season or bullcrap win versus the Saints and barely missing the playoffs. Peak Falcons football. Also, I see Van Jefferson. If I see Van Jefferson get another target over our generational tight end, I'm gonna pile drive something. Hey, that one, he was actually open on that one. I will say, I know Jordan was talking about it too. That one was not his fault. He actually got open. That's just not his fault that Taylor Heineke was 30% passing today. So yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a completion percentage that low. Also,
I don't think Zach Wilson's ever done it.
No.
I don't even think I've seen Josh Nesbitt do it when he was at Georgia Tech, and they ran the triple option every single play. He didn't have to throw the ball. So, yeah, if you go 0 for 1, it looks bad.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks terrible. So, we got Mackenzie Mayweather. What's up, Mackenzie? He says, with the $5 also. Thank you, man. He says, with the 2024 draft pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Mike Tomlin from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, I like Mike Tomlin. I don't think they would really be interested in doing that just because they need the pick for a quarterback. They literally can't do anything else with it. They absolutely have to get a quarterback with that pick. So, yeah. So but I mean, in terms of quarterbacks that you could have in Atlanta, Mike Tomlin's certainly not a bad option. It's just Mike Tomlin's problem also is that he can't seem to find an offensive coordinator now. So that wouldn't necessarily fix our particular issues here. But
yeah, he's starting to feel the pressure, understandably so. They wasted several years of Matt Canada, and
they did. Yeah.
First round pick on Kenny Pickett. Nobody could feel good about that. So he's got, as much as we love Mike Tomlin, absolutely, but you gotta call how you see it.
Yeah, I mean, at least the Falcons only spent a third rounder on their backup quarterback. So
baby steps,
small victories. But we got Harry Hotep with the $5. What's up, Harry? He says, allowing Arthur Smith to draft a quarterback after blowing it 3 straight seasons in a row, 7-10, again, is grounds for pitchforks and torches. Trade up, whatever it takes. I mean, I agree. That's kind of why. I think we agree with that statement. You just can't trust him to do it. And you're gonna potentially ruin it for the next coach. You're gonna make the team less attractive to the next coach because the ability to pick their quarterback is huge if you're trying to attract an offensive coach. It's massive for the whole thing. So they have to, I think if they want to make a change, it has to be this year. They can't wait. If they wait and Arthur Smith fumbles, you're really, really screwed. You're in big trouble because you're passing out. It looks like a pretty good crop of coaches. You never really know. But if you don't do it now, please go ahead, Alan. Yeah.
No, I'm curious if you guys remember the 2020, who got hired in 2020? Because obviously Dan Quinn stayed after the 2019 season. I'm trying to remember that 2020 offseason. I think Stefanski was the one coordinator I could recall getting hired. But who else? Could you guys remember?
Was that the Kevin O'Connell year too? I can't remember. Or maybe that was in 21.
I like to do some research on. I know Stefanski because he's offensive coordinator of the Vikings and he went to Browns. Because you got to consider the Falcons' decision to keep Dan Quinn. They missed out on some coaches in 2020.
Yeah.
But the only one was Amon Stefanski.
So it looks like that was Mike McCarthy in Dallas, Ron Rivera going to Washington, Matt Rule in Carolina, Stefanski, and Joe Judge with New York. So
that was a good decision in hindsight. A lot of misses there.
Yeah, man. Imagine Ron Rivera. That was such an awkward hire.
Yeah. I do also we'll talk about it in a second, but I do think that Joe Brady might be the most likely one to end up here, honestly, because I think there was really something to the rumors that they were thinking about Brady and Fontenot here, and that was a thing. and we know like Brady has ties to Fontenot and all this. So like that to me, and given like Brady, like he got such a bad rap, like Carolina like screwed him over. Like I mean, that was a disaster. They really treated him poorly and basically scapegoated him for Matt Rule's problems. Where have we heard
Wasn't
that
that who we
before?
wanted to the first time around?
I think
Was something like that?
yeah, I think he was like one of their first interviews, and they ended up going with Arthur Smith over Brady. But and then Brady
Yeah.
didn't end up getting a head coaching job. But
Right. Okay.
I do like
I
I think
saw
everyone's
2020 with Teddy Bridgewater.
yeah
Pretty efficient.
yeah. So like I do think like everyone's like Ben Johnson, Bieniemy, like all that, and like yeah, sure, like interview those guys, absolutely. But um but yeah, I mean, I think Joe Brady would be the one I would personally keep an eye on because of the history there and the fact that I think Ben Johnson's probably going to go to Los Angeles. Like they're going to back up the Brinks truck for him, and he's got Justin Herbert, and that's just a big equalizer. So I know the Chargers are notoriously cheap, but I think they'll back up the truck at this point because if they're in LA, they kind of need to. So,
Unless they go for Bill Belichick.
well, there
Which
you
would be-
go.
Yeah.
That could be the great equalizer always. We got Shaquavius Scott with the $2. He says, "I have a theory that our quarterbacks might be colorblind." Well, you could have fooled me today. I mean, certainly. So
The only reason why I would argue against that is because Taylor Heineke did such a good job of still throwing to their guys a whole lot more than he did our guys. So I think it's almost like he knew who he was throwing to. So I don't know. That's the only
he
thing.
knew. Yeah. He just made, he chose poorly, but he knew where he was going. But
he picks out those sneakers after he wins, though. Like he's pretty particular, like what winning team sneakers he's gonna wear.
That's
so
right.
I think
That's
he knows his colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. we forgot about the shoes thing. That's fun. We got Ian McCluskey with the $10. Oh, thank you for repeating this one, Ian. He said, "Fire," and thanks again for the donation. He says, "Fire Arthur Smith into the nearest black hole. Ready that trade package for the Bears and send it in now for that #1 pick. Then get your choice of either Caleb Drake or Jaden Daniels to help save this franchise." I mean, they're probably gonna have to trade up for a quarterback. Yeah, so I don't know that they're gonna go up to #1, but they're gonna have to trade up for a quarterback, and it's absolutely in play. I mean, it is. So we got PV again. The 2. He says, "What do you guys think the rate is to FedEx Smith home from Chicago?" Yeah, I'd have to look into that. I think it's expensive these days for that type of size package and that weight. I mean, you're probably talking hundreds of dollars.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. So what? I'm not making any comment necessarily. I'm just saying like a person sized box. That's expensive.
No,
I know.
I
The
know.
freight, I would never make fun of big people with big 75 fella on here. Okay, that would be just rude of me. I can't disrespect like that. But
See, I just paid off my I just paid off some of my credit cards too. I got some miles, so don't think I won't pull up one day.
I know
too,
you could. Yeah,
don't think I won't pull up.
He knows I'm in Florida. He's been waiting to get to the beach. So.
Mm-hmm.
We got one more from Jason Gates here with the $2. He says, "Here's my Christmas song parody, Kevin." Oh, great. Okay. We got, and a Happy New Year to you, Alan Jordan, and the chat. "Oh, the weather outside is frightful." But okay, I'm gonna botch this. This is not like written in verse, so I'm gonna have a hard time.
Oh, okay.
"But the snuck in liquor is so delightful, and since Ritter and Heineke can't throw, let them both go. Let them both go instead of let it snow." Okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm getting it. Okay, that's pretty good.
Good wordplay.
Yeah.
It wasn't too derogative either, which I appreciate. Because
no, I appreciate that.
At first, I was thinking, "Oh God, what is this?
What are we gonna see?" Yeah, no, Jason very respectful. Yeah, no, that was good. I like that, Jason. That was good. Guys, we appreciate you guys sticking through this terrible ass season with us, suffering through this team. We're gonna be back next week. Next week's and the next show, the next game is gonna be dicey because I'm starting my vacation next week. I've made the executive decision, long
Smart
before
man.
the season. But yeah, that I'll be out from like the 4th through the 11th, essentially. So we may do live on Tuesday and make that this week's show, and then I'll pre-record a game preview, and then we'll just do the post game when I get back for the Saints game, and sort of do like a retrospective show there. If the game is like really exciting and I have time, I might do it on vacation, but probably not. So don't look for that. But we'll have some episodes for you next week and some stuff recorded to get you through the Saints game, and then we'll probably get you the post game following the game. I am going skiing, Joe. I don't board. I can't do 2 feet on one thing. I've tried, but I'm really good at skiing, so that's my thing. But yeah, guys, we appreciate you. Thanks to everyone for hanging out with us today. Appreciate everyone in here, all the donations, and for just suffering through this terrible last team with us. Please like, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Really appreciate that. It helps us out. Leave that 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Check out the channel memberships if you're interested in supporting the show on YouTube and getting those exclusive perks. Check out the Patreon if you're more of a podcast listener and want to get those perks as well. And yeah, guys, I want to thank my guests before we head off. Co-hosts, really, at this point. I mean, for both these guys, clearly. And since we're 17 games in, I think you've earned the co-host label. We got Jordan Watkins, that big 75 fella. Jordan, anything else you want to let the people know about?
No, I mean, obviously Falcon Fade podcast reaction show will come out tomorrow, but in all seriousness, because the first off chat, y'all have been hilarious today. So happy new year to everybody. We made it through 2023. 2024 is coming up, and while I don't know what in the world this team's going to do, I do hope for everyone on your individual situations, goals, ambitions, that everything that you want to do, you can go out and accomplish it and conquer it. And we'll talk to you in 2024.
Absolutely. That's a good one. I like that. Very, very positive. Very positive for this very dour show. We got Alan Strk. Yeah, Alan's gonna bring us down here. He's Alan Strk. No,
well said, Jordan. I salute that message. I don't know what game it was, but I remember it was Kevin or Adnan. I remember you guys just telling us, like, don't let this team ruin your mood. Like, absolutely celebrate tonight, this year, embrace your positives, and learn from mistakes and just grow as individuals. As for this team, it is what it is. We'll see. We'll be covering it. We'll bring the content as usual, and next week's gonna be funky. It could be we'll be seeing a playoff team. We could be seeing a team that's on the hunt for a new coach. There's a lot of possibilities here. So at least just something to look forward to in Week 18, albeit in just a complete down way. But nevertheless, enjoy the night. Forget about football, because we're all gonna be enjoying the night. Site's doing great, and we're gonna be continuing to grow.
Yep, exactly, guys. So thanks again for joining us. Have a wonderful New Year celebration. We will see you guys after the New Year for some more takes on this team that we somehow still follow. They've really tried their best to get us out of here, but we just keep sticking with them somehow. So thank you, guys. I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin. Thanks again to Bet Online and to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. We will see you guys next time on the Falcoholic Live. Have a great night, folks.